everybody. This is going to be a tough topic today. This is a topic of sexual abuse. My name is Patty Hall, and I am a life and spiritual coach with Get Balance 2020 and Divine Warrior Intuitive. This is my story of sexual abuse, how to survive, heal, and live with sexual abuse. I hope this helps in some way. And also, too, it may show you some red flags to watch for if you think somebody is going through it. Now let's get started. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Patty, and this topic that we're going to talk about is sensitive. So if you have little children, they may want to leave the room at this time. I also picked the topic, picking up the pieces, because as a survivor of almost any abuse, you do have to pick up the pieces and start over again. We actually have to learn a new core foundation because our original foundation was broken, and we're going to talk about that today. It wasn't until my 30s that I actually began to heal, because I was like, okay, I'm doing things wrong. I'm not quite sure why, but I need to start working on myself. And as I picked apart and picked up the pieces one by one as they were shattered, I was seeing that a lot of the choices that I was doing was based from being a victim of abuse. Okay. And reason why was I became very promiscuous. And the reason why I became promiscuous is because of my core foundation of being sexually abused, that I thought that was the only way that a male was going to show me love. And that's what I did. I thought, okay, you're going to show me love. You're going to be interested in me. So why not? Because I didn't understand the value of my womanhood and the importance of my body to myself at that time. So I became promiscuous, and I'm like, I don't like this. What they you get on your back and then they leave. You get on your back and then they leave. I thought you liked me. I thought you loved me, and that's why I got on my back. And no, completely wrong. And even as my coaching, what I do here in Get Balance 2020 or Divine Warrior Intuitive, I teach not to get on your back, because that is the last thing you want to do, because that is that's not love. I mean, it is love, but it is in a different form. It's a whole different ball game. The other thing was my life was spiraling down. It was, gradually all my decisions and my choices that I was making was based on this broken foundation of who I was and how to get ahead and how to find love and how to get accepted. Because remember, back as a child, I didn't have that many friends. I was afraid. And so even as an adult, I was afraid to make a lot of friends. I didn't really want to, I didn't know how to socialize because my self-value was so low. So my life began to spiral down. Okay. So I began to realize in my early 30s, I need help. I need really, really help. And in my late 20s, I think I went to a secular counselor a couple of times. I went to one or two, and I can't even remember what they told me. So when I'm talking about healing, there's many options that you can do to heal from being a victim of this. And what I mean by that is, and I'll share with you mine, but you have to choose what's best for you. Or if you are not the victim, you need to realize that one way isn't always the right way. Oh, let's put her in counseling. They made me, think about things. But I think the most thing that I remember from a secular counselor, which doesn't have anything to do with the sexual abuse, but with my mother, and all I remember is, you're going to keep beating your head up against the wall for affirmation and you're not going to get it. That's what I remember. But remember, she did not know the whole story. She didn't know that whole story until I was in my 20s. Okay. And I'm sharing this. She's like, everybody's saying, well, what does this have to do with healing? What does this have to do with healing? I'll share with you in a minute. But she didn't know the whole story until I was about 30 or so. And I'm trying to start to work on myself. And I thought, I am going to tell my story. It is important to tell your story to someone. It is important to get it out. This is part of the healing process. But you have to get it out to somebody who believes you, who understands you, that you can trust. Because several times my mother would think that I was telling a story or not honest about something. And so I wouldn't be believed. Was it because I was lying before? No. It was because she thought I was fabricating things. She thought that I was making things up in my mind. And the reason why I believe she thought that is because God had given me some abilities of discernment at a very young age. So have somebody that you can trust and share your story with. I know of several women who have been physically abused, sexually abused, tortured as children, and they just need somebody to share their story with. I would love to hear your story, okay? But the next part of my story is, as that little girl, we need to have a safe place. I never had one. That has to be part of your healing. Where is it, if you are a victim, where is it that you can go that you are happy, you're joyful, you feel safe, you feel calm, you feel loved and unconditional love? Now, if you're not the victim and you're watching this and trying to educate yourself, and you may know somebody that may be a little introverted, where do they go? Where is it that they go? Where do you go when you want to feel safe and connected and just at peace? On the healing side, I'm sharing these stories because to heal, you have to have someone safe to talk to. You have to have a safe place to go. Now, being that I have other abilities, that my safe place is nature and animals. What is it for you? What is it for the person that you know that they would absolutely love to get unconditional love from, or feel or have freedom of peace and mind? That's a huge, huge thing. You have to find that. I didn't know that until I was probably in my 30s. Where do I feel the happiest? When I'm camping, when I'm in nature, when I'm around horses. Horses have been my life since age 9, so I wanted one in my closet. But I feel comfortable around horses. I feel connected. This is something that somebody needs to feel. This is part of healing. Now, the big part of healing is to understand your behaviors, what is going on. Are you lying? Are you being deceitful? Do you have repetitive patterns that are more destructive than constructive? These are things that you have to sort of look at. Are you meeting the same guy or girl over and over and over again in the dating world that just ends nowhere, and you're choosing and making decisions based on the broken person? And it's not healthy and toxic. And how you can tell it's healthy, that it's toxic, is that you bring it to a level that you are being destructive to each other than constructive. Okay. If you're lifting each other up and you're happy and you're joyful and you're supporting and you're promoting and that kind of a thing, that is constructive relationships and a healthy relationship. What I'm talking about is destructive, toxic. You put each other down, you cuss each other out, you scream at each other, you yell at each other, you cannot communicate, you're not on the same page with each other. It's a spiral down rather than a spiral up. So that is what I'm talking about. A lot of people that have gone into relationships that are victims have not done their own homework in their own singleness, that it is detrimental to the relationship. What I'm saying is, you really need to look at your relationships if you're in a relationship and pay attention to that, because there you can fix that with coaching or good psychology, or psychologist or psychiatrist. But sometimes just coaching or counseling helps that, and it gets you two on the same page, because maybe you're both broken. Maybe there was abuse in one house and there's abuse in this house. Two broken people have a really hard time with healing. You cannot, it's hard to heal together. It's okay to be supportive. There's other ways to help your healing in support groups. Being able to work together, support each other, just tell your stories. Again, we're going back to having somebody to tell your story to. They do this in AA and NA and things like that. Tell your story, because the more you witness and testimony, even in churches, they will say testimony, give us your testimonies, that kind of a thing. But it is really important to tell your story somewhere. Okay. And when you guys are healing, you support each other together. However, if you were to get into a relationship and married, you still need to be separate. You got to wait to do that so that you can heal, and come together whole and whole, not healing and healing. Okay. So there's many ways of healing. So there's a secular healing, and I talk about that as a counselor, as a psychologist, as a psychiatrist, and somebody that can help you from a mental level of book knowledge and understanding the science of the brain and how the brain works and human behavior. Or there is also counseling that has more of a spiritual side to it, how to heal from within your spirit and your mind. Then you might say, like a Christian counselor, a spiritual counselor, a light worker of that kind of a nature. It all depends on what your belief system is in how to get healed. There's other ways to help your healing. For me, I will tell you, the secular counseling did not work, because you got to remember, God gave me abilities and gifts that I still didn't understand, even in my 20s and my early 30s, but they were evolving. But I also needed somebody to understand my spiritual side as well as what had gone through with me. So big groups don't work for me. So, like I said in the very beginning, it has to fit your lifestyle, but you can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. Whether you have a spiritual coach, a spiritual counselor, a spiritual psychologist, a spiritual psychiatrist, whatever it is. And I've tried psychiatrists. Let me tell you, I told them everything, and I even told them my spiritual side and the gifts that I have. And they gave me all kinds of tests, because remember, I do have a gift of hearing. I do have a gift of discernment and a little bit of clairvoyance. And so that psychiatrist said, with all the tests they gave me, you are perfectly normal. I can't help you. I said, excuse me? She said, I can't help you. You need to go find somebody of the supernatural or psychic realm. I can't help you. And I don't know but one person. Out of my 35 years of psychiatrist, I don't know how to deal with this. So you have to find something that fits you in your healing. Now, secular healing may work for you or a family member or somebody, but spiritual healing worked for me. And that's why I have the channels that I have, because some people need secular, Get Balanced 2020. Some people need spiritual, Divine Warrior Intuitive. These are divine and God's choices for me to be here to teach and educate for you. Again, when healing begins to happen, you will go through stages. You will go through like a grief process, because that little person basically is now dying, is inner child work. That person is going away. That person now is grown up, and now this big person is going to protect and know that that will never happen again. And the transformation of the mind has to change. It is a grief process. It is going through, you know, the denial of really the choices and decisions you're making in your life is caused from your core foundation, which was the abuse. Got to go back there. No matter which secular or spiritual counseling you choose, you got to go back there. And you've got to grow up that child to understand that that child doesn't need to make decisions and choices anymore, that this grown adult can walk in absolute truth, and everything that you have worked and accomplished for is in love and absolute truth. Now, if you've grown up with lying and manipulating and all that kind of stuff that I've talked about, that has to change. That's not absolute truth, and that's not healing. And that's why you have to pick whichever kind of counseling or whatever kind of therapy that you need to get through that. So what, for me, I would have God as my counselor, which he always is. Now, in section 3, I'm going to talk to you about living with sexual abuse because it never goes away. But in my 50s, it is when I did my most healing. I think it was around 51 or 52. And I did my most healing, and was not only my girlfriend who does inner child work, but was a show called, and I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, but I think it's Ilana Fix My Life. And there was a child abuse victim as a grown man that had gone through almost everything that I went through. And I don't know what the trigger was, but the triggers are gone. It was like, I can't explain it. When your healing is in a process, it literally feels like chains beginning to fall off your body. The day that I worked on my inner child and told her that it's okay, you're all grown up, and I am not going to ever let anything like that happen to you or me again, because now I'm a grown adult and I have the power inside my spirit to control and never let anything hurt me again. So it's growing up that child, and that's what the healing process is. Because when I walked from the secular, the world way of thinking, to the spiritual way of thinking, because that's who I was from the very beginning. That's my calling and my passion, and that's my purpose, is that I began a mindset of walking in absolute truth. And that was more freedom, because I didn't need to lie about anything. If you don't like me, you don't like me. I can't stop that. I am who God created me, and that's who I am. And so it began these layers of coming off, of all shedding off. It's like like I share in some of my videos, it's like that snake who has the old skin peel off as he moves through life, and that old skin gets left behind. That's exactly how it felt, until literally one day, I literally felt like I could imagine these chains falling all at once, and I felt 1,000,000 times lighter. I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's wazoo, because the thing is, that's exactly what happened. And that's how I felt. And I still feel that way today. So when you get through your healing process, you are going to feel much lighter. You're going to walk in absolute truth. You are going to love yourself. And you are going to make better decisions and choices, and you will have better standards and pick the right person for you, because you're going to stick to those standards. And that's what I want for you. So you have to sort of look at, what is the best way for me to get healed? Do I go secular? Do I go spiritual? Do I go psychiatrist, psychologist, counselor, or a coach? And if you need help with that, if in deciding which is best for you, email me. I would love to help you in choosing the best person. There's millions of people out there in this world that are ready to help you. So number one, from video one, you need to find a person that you can trust and tell. Okay. And from this healing video, same thing. Find a person that you can trust and tell. Find some support. Find help in a counselor, a coach, a psychologist, or whatever. And find a support group if that's for you. Maybe it's not. I'm an individualist. I'm a lone wolf. I don't do well with that, but I do have to have people around me. And the people that love and know me the most, they accept what has happened to me and actually feel bad, but I say don't, because God is using the bad to create good and to help others. So this is the healing part. Now, does it stop once those chains are all broken off? Now I said, wow, I feel good. I feel free. I feel great. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to make good decisions. And as soon as I start thinking I'm going to lie, nope, I'm telling the truth. I'm being absolute truth. I'm walking in God's absolute truth. There's a difference between earthly truth and God's truth. God's truth is consistent and never changing and has a standard that will never change. Earthly truth is whatever anybody's opinion is, whatever their experience is, or whatever it is truth. I don't follow that because it is always changing. So I really look at spiritual truth. I will say that my sexual abuse kept my maturity very young, and maybe that was the reason why my marriage didn't last. And I look back at that now and I know it. The choices and decisions I was making, my immaturity and my levels of my maturity back then, even at 41 is when I got married, damaged my relationship. And again, I was still in not understanding why I was doing it, because I wasn't getting to that little person in that core foundation and growing that little inner person up and making that person realize that everything is okay because I'm an adult now. So this is section 2. I hope this was helpful. Go back and listen to it if you need to. Share it, do whatever. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because you're probably watching this on YouTube. And get ready for section 3. And we're going to talk about living with sexual abuse. Take care.